Before we jump into this course on SQL Server 2008 development, I want to give you a little course overview to kind of let you know where we're headed here, what topics we're going to talk about, and where we're going to spend our time. I'm going to start off and do just a few SQL basics. This is especially useful for those of you who are new to SQL Server, kind of help you know where it came from, how to get your hands on a copy so that you can follow along with me, and how to install it. I'll talk a little bit about the available SQL Server certifications that are out there if you're interested in that sort of thing. Then I'll talk about a couple of the different editions of SQL Server, what it means to be a SQL Server developer. From there, we're going to jump into the whole idea and the basics on SQL Server database development by looking at the types of databases that are out there in the world, the two main basic types of databases, and how to know how to develop for whichever type of database that you're building. And we are going to concentrate on OLTP databases, but I'll explain all that later. Then we're going to deal with that dreaded word normalization, and this is where the database developers and administrators and all the database people in general began to disagree and have issues in the design and development process. And usually you'll find out that everybody's right at one point or another through the life of the database when it comes to normalization, ideas and differences of opinions and so forth. Then I'm going to show you some diagrams, or how to build diagrams and how to use them in your own database development. And then we'll talk about some table basics, because this becomes really the heart and the foundation of database development, is building your tables, choosing your data types, and we'll talk about data types a little bit, talk about some Unicode data types and what those are and how to use them. And then we'll go into the whole idea of nulls, when to use nulls, when to avoid them, our primary foreign keys or candidate keys, that sort of thing. So we'll get into the whole key topic. Then we'll talk about selecting data, some of the different tools that you can use in your database development to help that end user get data out, and to use some cool tools to grab data in some interesting ways. We'll talk about scalar functions here that are built into SQL Server, and then we'll talk about your own user-defined functions and some of the things that you can do there to pull the data out. We'll talk about how to modify the data, and we're talking about updates here, and the output clause, a really cool functionality. It's actually been around since SQL 2005 to help us build auditing on the changes that we're making to our tables. Then we'll jump on transactions, show you a couple of examples on how to use transactions, what they are, how to avoid locking so mad with a transaction. Then we'll spend a little time on programming objects. And here I'm talking about views, stored procedures, such things as temporary tables, common table expressions, table variables, some of the really cool Star Trek kind of things you can do here. Then we'll talk about indexes, and we'll finish out talking about indexes, and I'll take you through a little exercise, show you a couple of animations to get you warmed up to the idea of indexes, why to build them, when to build them, more importantly, when not to build them, what these things are actually doing to your database, where it's helping you, where it's hurting you, and so forth. Because a lot of times these things such as transactions, indexes, and our programming objects can get the developer's side of the database at odds with the administrator side of the database. And so we'll kind of talk about some of that as we go through here. We'll finish the course on indexes, but trust me, there's a lot of information you're going to see here. And what I really want to do is give you a good foundation on developing really good, really efficient databases. And there's so much information, we can actually drill into almost any one of these topics and spend 3, 4, 5 hours each on them. So database development, you'll hear me say this a lot through the course. The second one you'll do will be better than the first one. The third one will be better than the second one, and so forth. Sheer experience is the secret here. So just jump in with both feet. Go ahead, get soaked, and just kind of start building your knowledge and your understanding of databases and techniques. And the more you build, the farther into the future you're going to be able to see on future projects. So anyway, that's where we're headed. So let's just jump in and get started.